Hello and welcome to our continuing series of writing resources for kids. My name is Sarah Scoggin, and I'm the Early Childhood Librarian at the Newburgh Free Library, Newburgh, New York. Here are 3 more resources that you might enjoy for writing with kids. The first resource is Scholastic Story Starter. Here we are on Scholastic Story Starter page, and you can see there are 3 genres, adventure, fantasy, or sci-fi to pick from, or you can scramble them up. And it will ask you just for your first name and your grade K through 6. Here's an example of the adventure genre. So you see this story spinner. You click the spin lever over there on the right, and it gives you 4 boxes: a goal, like writing a short story, an adjective, a person, and a modifier. So I pulled it, and I actually got write a short story as if you were a grouchy judge who travels by canoe. But I just pushed those buttons at the bottom that say spin this wheel. You can spin them individually until I changed it to write a short story as if you were an intelligent uncle who travels by canoe. So you can customize that. And then it will take you to a screen like this. This is from the Scrambler genre, and you can change the format. So instead of writing a short story, or you could write it as a notebook, as a letter, a newspaper, a postcard. And at the bottom there, you can see you have an option to include a drawing if you want to illustrate your story. This was a story prompt: write a postcard to a sleepy dinosaur who eats muffins all day. And then it takes you to your writing page. So here's the writing page from the sci-fi genre, and my prompt for that one was write about why you want to meet a glowing spacewalker who visits other galaxies. And I started writing there. I can't believe Glowman is coming. So you write your whole story there. You have the option to add more pages if it's a longer story. And then when you're done, click done, and it gives you a little, almost like a little movie showing your writing being unveiled. So that's a really fun one from Scholastic. The next resource is the Jumpstart Lipogram Challenge. So here at Jumpstart, we have writing activities for kids. That top leftmost button, Learn with Lipograms, gives you this story page. So a lipogram is a piece of writing where you give yourself a limit, usually not using a letter is the limit. So you could say, I'm not going to use the letter A here, for example. You could pick any letter, you could pick more than one letter, you could pick numbers, you could have any other kind of restriction, but here is a no A writing challenge. And that leads me to mention Ernest Vincent Wright, who was an author who in 1939 published a novel called Gadsby, 50,000 word novel without using the letter E in it anywhere, not including his name being Ernest or the little note saying that he was going to write a novel without using the letter E. As far as I can tell, this is the only novel in English to be written without the letter E. Of course, other writers have tried this and other lipograms in their native languages, but a little interesting note about lipograms. The third resource is a game called Consequences, and there are others, Consequences, etc., from a site called Navigating by Joy. Consequences is a game that's been around a long time, but as the author of the website pointed out, it is an authentic writing experience, so it's not a contrived necessity for writing. You have to write to play this game, and it's a really fun one. So you take turns, 2 people, with a piece of paper. The first person writes a male name and then folds the paper back so you can't see what it is and gives it to the other person. The other person writes a female name, folds that back to the first person to write he said, and then a line of dialogue, folded. The next person writes she said, a line of dialogue, and then folds it. And the final one is the consequence, the result of that quote-unquote conversation, and then you unfold it, and it's a ridiculous micro story. So that's an interesting one to get kids who really don't like writing to write because they have to get the punchline. And that leads me to a sort of bonus game. This is a game from Parlor Games from DeepFun. And these aren't writing games per se, but they are excellent brain stretchers. They are a lot of fun. And importantly, they are games that require no screens or special equipment. I think the most complicated equipment you need to play these games is Scrabble tiles. You could write your own letters on pieces of paper. Some of the outdoor games might require like a ball or frisbee or something like that, but most of them require either paper or nothing, just party games, group of people games where you don't need any equipment whatsoever. What better way to make a refreshing change from technology while you're stuck at home than to play an old-fashioned game? And it's just a chance to laugh with those you love. So here's one that particularly struck my fancy. It's a game called Coffee Pot. The person running the game thinks of a verb, which may be something simple like swallowing or complex like pretending to be sick to get a day off from work. Everyone else tries to figure out what it is by asking yes or no questions. They don't have to be yes or no, in which the mystery verb is replaced by the word coffee pot. So if you had chosen the first example, swallowing, so you know that that's the verb, and someone asks you, have you coffee potted today? Yes. Does it cost money to coffee pot? No. Is it obvious when you coffee pot to someone looking at you? Only if they look closely. How many times do you coffee pot in a typical week? Probably thousands of times. And you can see how this goes on and on until they finally guess what your mystery verb is. So I encourage you to check out DeepFun. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.